In 1910, Sir Robert Anderson, former Assistant Commissioner of the Met Police Force, made an extraordinary claim about Jack the Ripper. That not only was he known to the police, but had been positively identified by the only man who ever had a good look at the killer. However, the witness refused to testify, and Jack the Ripper was placed in an asylum, his name never revealed. He remained an enigma for over 100 years. Then, in the 1980s, another extraordinary discovery finally put a surname to that suspect. Inspector Donald Swanson, the man who ran the Ripper investigation, had made notes in his copy of Anderson's book, in which he stated Kosminski was the suspect. But who was Kosminski? The only man who fitted his description was found in the asylum records over 2 years after the murders ended, creating yet another mystery. Now a new letter has come to light that can finally resolve the puzzle. Purchased on eBay and of poor provenance, the letter places Aaron Kosminski on the streets of Whitechapel in 1889, only 3 days before another murder took place. But is that letter genuine? This summer, the letter was sent to Liverpool John Moore's forensic department to be examined by one of the world's leading experts.
So I'm Dr. Suzanne McCall. I'm a lecturer here at Liverpool John Moores University, and I'm a lecturer that specialises in forensic science. I work with the local police force as and when required. The primary tests that we've done at the moment are using the video spectral comparator, which uses a whole range of different wavelengths of light to look at the inks. Because of the magnification, you can also see how the ink and the writing has interacted with the paper and the ink itself, and you can check what type of pen you're using, and you can also look at the type of paper, what the components of the paper are in terms of how it's been made, how it's been pressed, what type of fibres it might have been made from. So looking at the ink, it's a very blue-black ink. This is quite common with the iron gall inks. Aspects that are particularly useful are different wavelengths of light. That at the moment is floodlight, so that's coming from the top. But we can also do transmittance, which is light coming through the paper from underneath as well. This is now a spotlight, but this is using fluorescence and looking for fluorescence. Now, if you've got new paper, what you tend to see is, because it'll have a lot of optical brightness in it, that you will get a lot of fluorescence from the paper itself. So if we go up into the infrared, it will change as it reacts. This can be quite useful for looking at the handwriting, because you'll pick up different aspects of the handwriting. I'm talking about inclusion and exclusion in terms of being able to include it as being original or exclude it. However, at the moment, at the stage that we're at the moment, everything is consistent with something of the age that we're suggesting it is.
Elemental analysis using EDX spectroscopy has turned up nothing out of place in the letter's ink or paper. Now more detailed elemental analysis using the latest XRF X-ray fluorescence is taking place. We have exclusive access to these further tests and results.
One thing that can be seen is the damage that's occurred to this. The way that damage has occurred is in fairly straight lines. The reason for that is probably due to the fact that this letter or note has been folded at some point. And the way that would have happened, if I just demonstrate with this piece of paper, is that it's been folded in probably down this break here, so like that, and then folded in to thirds going up the other way. Now, the benefit of folding anything like this, and we do something similar in forensics, where it's called the Beecham's wrap, is that you can then slot that inside there, and you then have a nice little, quite secure note. Now, I've said about this being a note rather than a letter because it's quite short, it's on quite small paper, and that paper has been artificially shortened, but on this edge, it looks as though it has been cut. You've got quite a neat cut. No ruler or anything being used. It looks like it's a very quick cut down. What that suggests to me is that this has been taken out of some sort of small booklet, whether that's something like a ledger or some form of notepad is unclear and something that needs further research.
An expert from the Vatican who visited the forensic department was given access to the letter. He concluded that the damage and deterioration of the paper was consistent with letters of that period.
So if we now look at the handwriting, style of writing and the accomplishment of the writing in effect, given that this is written with what would be classed as a dip pen, fountain pens having just come into being at this point in time, but you can see how it goes lighter in places and then goes darker again, which suggests with a dip pen, although it's got a small reservoir, when it gets dipped into the ink, you can write 4 or 5 words at a time and then it will start to run out the ink, so you'll dip it again. And the first thing it tells you is this person is quite educated and accomplished at writing with a dip pen. And dip pens are not necessarily that easy to write with. And to make it so that it's clear writing within the small confines of the lines that you've got here, and the writing is quite consistent on both sides, even if you use fountain pen, so it suggests somebody who is very accomplished at writing within the confines of this type of paper and using that type of pen.
So the question is, why would anyone take the time, expense and detailed practice to forge a letter with a dip pen when a simple fountain pen would have sufficed?
So thinking about it overall, my opinion would be that the note itself is really too random, somebody to bother forging in any way. It also doesn't tell us specifically about Kosminski being involved in the Jack the Ripper killings, but it doesn't say specifically anything about Jack the Ripper, and I cannot see really what anybody would benefit from a forgery of this type.
But if the letter doesn't say anything directly about Jack the Ripper, why is it so important? Closer contextual analysis of the letter's content reveals something rather surprising.
She took from the Jew Kosminski Wednesday week past. On walking alongside the fruit barrow, poor Mary took such a fright when the lunatic ran at her with those ghastly scissors, yelling in his devil tongue. Mary ran all the way back. It's a wonder he hasn't hung for what he did to those poor girls, and the terror he has delivered upon poor Tilly.
Aaron Kosminski's asylum admittance records reveal that he threatened the life of his sister.
And the terror he has delivered upon poor Tilly.
And the terror he has delivered to poor Tilly clearly reference Aaron's sister Matilda, who was known simply by the nickname Tilly. As the odds of 2 Kosminskis having a sister called Tilly are practically 0, the letter must reference Aaron Kosminski. So, for the first time, we can place Aaron Kosminski alive and well on the streets of Whitechapel in July 1889, acting violently, and referenced simply as Kosminski. And if Kosminski was the suspect, Aaron must have been Swanson and Anderson's man. Not only the police prime suspect, but also the person identified by the only man who had a good look at Jack the Ripper. Finally solving a mystery that has baffled the world for over 130 years.
There is nothing to specifically say it's a modern creation. There are some questions to be put about the paper, such as why it was cut and folded in the way that it was. However, there is nothing that says that it is a fake in any way and that it is a modern creation. Everything at the moment is consistent with it being of the period that it pertains to be from.
So, if the Tilly letter is not a modern hoax, and Aaron Kosminski is Anderson's suspect, why did Chief Constable Melville McNaughton claim Kosminski went into the asylum in March 1889, 5 months before the letter was written? And why did Chief Inspector Donald Swanson claim that Kosminski died shortly after entering the asylum? To answer these questions, Jack the Ripper Unmasked needs to go back to the beginning. From Kosminski Kosminski's birth in Poland and family moved to London. Where did he live? And what made him tick? From a series of early murders in 1887 to the murder of Alice Mackenzie only 3 days after the Tilly letter was written. We can look at Jack the Ripper's ever-evolving MO. Looking directly at Aaron Kosminski, the world's most notorious serial killer. He could have a kill count as high as 13. From the gutter to the highest echelons of British society, we reveal the Kosminski family prospering tailoring business and their Freemason connection. We explore the family's struggle with Kosminski's mental health and how they eventually work with the police to place their young brother in an asylum. Using the latest research and forensic analysis with modern AI, we can finally unmask the real man behind Jack the Ripper.